Welcome to week 2 of my December daily check-in. I'm definitely starting to feel the squeeze. Pre-making all these layouts seemed like a really good idea back in November, but I'm starting to uncover some of the issues now. I found that I haven't left room for titles on all of the pages, and in places where the embellishments are supposed to overlap the photos, sometimes past Kerry was a little bit over-enthusiastic on sticking things down. There's no way a photo's sliding on there without having to rip something up. And I'm also finding it harder to find good matches as time goes by. I think I'm picking the easier options now. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like in real life, the challenges I've encountered and how I'm trying to work around it without destroying everything. Day 7 was about the Advent candle. That has kind of holly sprigs on it. So I was looking for a layout that would depict that out, and the garland on the notes page here really was reminiscent of that. This is one of the places where I didn't have a lot of space for a title, so I used one of the cards that came from the Advent calendar and some very tiny dies to put together Christmas is Coming. I used that because that's the name of a song that we sing about the Advent candle at church. And then made number 7 for the date on the smallest Spotlight on Nature dies, but as you'll come to see, we're running out of space even with those. I then compiled the candle using some bits I cut from my silhouette and some unexpected uses of dies. I have actually made a short about how the rub-on went down slightly wonky and I had to trim it off there as you saw it. So here's the pattern tags dies, which I've used to make the sprigs that go around the candle. And then the bow is actually the gingerbread man's bow tie, which just finishes off the little wreath around the candle and looks very cute. Then my journaling tells the story of the hymn, "The Christmas is Coming," and the Advent candle in the ring. Day 8 is about the decoration around the fireplace and on the mantelpiece. And I picked this layout because it has stockings hanging there, which reminded me of people who hang stockings on their mantelpiece. As you can see, we're really tight on space here, so I decided to make an extra bauble to put the number of the date on. So I compiled that with a couple of bits and pieces and add the number 8. And then I hang it from the top with a bit of gold thread, as I had with the other baubles, or ornaments if you're American. Now I'm struggling with a really small space to put a title in, so I tried to think of a really short title, and I come up with joy, which is obviously a great Christmas word. So I cut the 3 letters out from the Tags and More set with the holly on, which I really liked, and squeeze that into that little space there. Day 9 is about the tiny Lego house with lights. If you want to hear about the challenge involved with that, watch my behind the stories video. But what I'm looking for here is something fun to match with the idea of Lego. This is the first time I really encounter an issue with having stuck embellishments down too hard around the photographs. You'll see I'm working really hard at lifting all the things up and trying to get the photo squeezed in underneath little house embellishment because it's a Lego house. I add a little holly sprig, so we've got 3 pops of green across the layout. And then I'm struggling further to get the journaling in under all of those sweets. And we have a tiny little space for our title, so I pop that on another of the cards from the Advent calendar, and then I'm just trying to re-stick down the sweets that I've had to rip up to fit the photo in, and red sparkly berries to finish. The layout I choose for day 10 is the one that has all the small strips going across the page, and I had been really worried about using this because it looked really busy. But for this photo, the fact that Richard has a beige shirt on and the wood grain in the sign just pulls together really nicely with the crumb cake colour in some of the pages. So then I add more leaves and a big title, and somehow that actually calms the thing down, which is rather surprising, but I was really pleased with how it turned out. I also put the number onto crumb cake cardstock as well to bring some more of that calmer beige colour in. There's no real story for this page, so I just put a few gems on. and another little sprig. So we've got those 3 little clusters with the red berries across the page to draw the eye. This one ended up pretty painless and quick. Day 11 was about revisiting a hot chocolate memory. And as I went through, I wasn't sure what I was going to find that would work with the colours. I had forgotten that I had actually made a page with a gingerbread man holding a cosy little mug. So that obviously turned out to be perfect. However, the lack of space for a title becomes quite serious here, and I do end up ripping up the entire gingerbread man. And then because of the mess below, I also replaced that card with a new fresh one. I then have to work to try and squeeze the title in and leave enough space to put the gingerbread man back so it all fits. We're not coffee drinkers, so I don't have any kind of takeout hot drinks embellishments, but I created these cute little things from my silhouette. I also made a little stencil and I sponged some white pigment ink over the letters to look like the steam coming out of the mugs. Once the drinks are adhered down, I pull out some of the leftover holly leaves from yesterday's layout just to decorate that corner again, because I don't like it when the photo is just completely blank underneath. You'll see I've added my journaling now. And then I think that I'm done until I realise I haven't put a number on this page. I don't have much space, so I need to use a small die. Luckily, the 2 ones are the narrow numbers, and I just managed to squeeze them in. For day 12, I have the picture of the almost finished Christmas village. And as I go through, I feel it's getting lost in a lot of the layouts. There's lots of creamy colours there, which just are making the background where the village is in our lounge blend in. So I'm really pleased to find this layout here that's really bright colours, and so the more neutral colours of the photo then stand out. Using a flip flap here, so I'm sticking photos onto the piece that goes into the flip flap, and then I'll be using the base layer photo for the actual layout. Now we're approaching the teens, I have had to start using a bigger circle from the Spotlight on Nature dies in order to fit 2 numbers in. And again, it's one of those little cards from the advent calendar and my teeny tiny dies to fit the title in. I had quite a lot to say, so I just put a little stamp in the journaling space and some simple berry twigs from the branching out dies. So this means that the photos can be the real hero today. That's where we're at the end of week 2. Definitely starting to feel the squeeze. I've got titles with nowhere to live, embellishments welded to the page, and I'm finding myself increasingly left with trickier options to work with. Taking a few compromises and a bit of working around the issues, but it's a reminder that this project is about the memories and the stories, not about perfection. Are you keeping up with yours? Tell me about your December daily squeeze moments down in the comments. I'd love to hear how you're handling it. And if you want to see how things are looking as we head into week 3, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next update. Bye for now.